Welcome to HSAs and FSAs for 2020 and 2021 by Dr. Melissa Cohen. So let's begin by explaining what an HSA is. This stands for a health savings account. Now, I want you to be aware that HSAs aren't the same as healthcare flexible spending accounts, and that's known as an FSA, flexible spending account. The benefit of an HSA is that you can roll any money you have in your account. You can roll your balance over from one year into the next. And it also serves as one way to accumulate cash that you can use for retirement. If you are offered an HSA account with your employer, know that account holders with family plans, they can save up to $7,200 in an HSA account for 2021. And this is an increase from $7,100 that was available for 2020. So if you haven't hit your amount for 2020 and you're able to go ahead and increase that, go ahead and do so now so that you can get the maximum amount of money in that account. Now, here's a bonus. If you are 55 years of age and older, you can actually contribute an additional $1,000 to this HSA account. So employers offer an HSA account typically with a high deductible health insurance plan. So if you have one this year, or maybe your company is switching over to a high deductible health insurance plan with an HSA for 2021, this is some of the information that you need to consider. So if you have an HSA, it is offered pre-tax or tax-deductible money goes into your HSA where your funds can grow tax-free. So that means whatever your gross amount pay is for the year or for the month or the paycheck, whatever your gross amount is, they will actually take out your HSA, and that's how much money you want to tell them to take. So you may not need the $7,200, or maybe that's a little bit more than your budget. So you would, whatever dollar amount you have them take out of your paycheck, they take that out first from your gross pay, and then they look at the rest of the amount of money that you have, and then they take out your taxes and such from there. So the money that goes into your HSA account is pre-tax, and your money can grow tax-free. And know that anytime you need to use that money for any qualified medical expenses throughout the year or even after that, you can do so. Now, there are specific federal guidelines on what are qualified medical expenses, and I'm not going to cover that here. So be sure to look that information up. And that's your typical copays, most prescriptions, doctor visits, those regular healthcare items. And there's a very long list that you can feel free to look up for yourself as well. Now, as I mentioned before, HSA contributions, they are not subject to income, Social Security, or Medicare taxes. And know that an HSA is different from a 401k contribution, even though you may start to think it sounds so similar. Know that both of those, an HSA and a 401k contribution, they do take your money out of your account pre-tax. But when you when you're going to use your money, whenever that happens to be, the HSA grows tax-free, whereas any money you take out of your 401k account is subject to Social Security and Medicare tax. So here's another note. If you are a single person, if you're an individual with self-only health care coverage, you can actually put up to $3,600 in an HSA account. And that is up just slightly from $3,550 for 2020. Now, if we are going to talk about specifically what an FSA is in relation to an HSA. So once again, an FSA stands for a flexible spending account, and this is used for healthcare related items as well. So the main factor that you need to know is that typically an healthcare FSA, all the money has to be used by the end of the plan year. So typically, the plan year may be January through December, the end of December. So if you have an FSA, know that in 2021, you can save up to $2,750 in your healthcare FSA, and that's the same amount as for 2020. So that dollar amount is not changing. And here's one more little caveat here. If your plan allows you to carry any unused amounts into the next year, so some plans will let you do that and some will not for an FSA, you have to check with your plan, either your HR department or whoever is sponsoring that plan. The maximum amount that you can carry over is $550. So all this information I got from the CNBC.com. It says here's the maximum you can save in your 401k plan in 2021, and here's a website link as well. So once again, when you're looking at what money and you're figuring out how much money I need to use and such for the upcoming year, this is the way to do it. If you can put money in pre-tax into an account such as an HSA where it's pre-tax and it rolls over to the next year for any medical expenses, and if you don't use it for medical expenses, when you come to retire, you can use it for retirement as well. So that's kind of the benefits of an HSA, is you don't lose it. Whereas for an FSA, it's typically if you don't use it by the end of the year, then you lose it. So most people, including myself, typically put money in. So because I don't want to lose money, so I just take the minimum amount. I used to have a plan several years ago with one of the companies I worked with or worked for. And I would just put the minimum amount of what I think the healthcare expenses would be for the year, because I didn't want to lose my money for sure. And but typically I would still kind of come in a little bit under. And so at the last week of December, I would be spending my money buying any contacts, any contact lens solution, anything like that I needed, and that was covered through those medically related expenses as well. So I would prefer if you can contribute to an HSA to always do that, because you're never going to lose your money. Whereas an FSA, you can, if you don't use it, you typically lose it. And that's definitely something you don't want to do. So once again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to your HR benefits department. If you have any questions, they should be there to help you and help you save money and financially plan out what's best for you and your family. Feel free to reach me at www.smartandsassymoney.com.